अस्सलाम वालेकुम स्टूडेंट्स। आज हम अपना लेक्चर शुरू करते हैं अबाउट द एडवेंट ऑफ पाकिस्तान। जैसे आप लोगों को मैंने पढ़ाया कि पाकिस्तान बनने से पहले हम टू नेशन थ्योरी की डेवलपमेंट पे पढ़े थे, एवोल्यूशन ऑफ टू नेशन थ्योरी। और मैं लेक्चर आज का कंटिन्यू करने से पहले थोड़ा सा ब्रीफली डिस्क्राइब करूँगी जो हमने पहले लेक्चर्स लिए थे और कहाँ पर थे हम। जैसे आप लोगों को अच्छी तरह से याद होगा कि हमने कांग्रेस रूल को पढ़ा और हाउ मुस्लिम सफर्स ड्यू टू कांग्रेस टारनी इन सब कॉन्टिनेंट after the elections of 1936-37, when Congress took rule in 9 provinces of India. Congress declared that Hindi would be the national language, as well as they gave Congress flags as a status of national flag and prohibited the slaughtering of cow. They did all their efforts to suppress Muslims community and raise anti-Muslim slogans. Especially Bande Matram was a anti-Muslim song, which was became the national anthem of the country during the Congress rule. As well as Muslims were not allowed to go to their mosques, and Hindus started to play their drums when Muslims were in their mosques for offering their prayers. By these ways and number of others orders, the Congress government was totally against the Muslims, and as I told you earlier that there were number of facts which became the results of establishment of Pakistan by having a great consensus of the concept of two nation theory. During the Congress rule, Muslims realize much more that it's the time of the need that they should get rid from Congress and they should have their independent state in subcontinent, maybe as a domain or maybe as independent states. So but they have no way to get rid from Congress ministries, because they lose the elections of 1936 and 37. Ultimately a day came that when Second World War was started in world in almost in the end of 1939. In the end of 39, and Congress ministries resigns from their ministries as a protest against the English orders on 22nd December 1939. Muslims get rid from their get rid from their Congress rule, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah under the Muslim League announced that they would celebrate this day as a day of deliverance, and they announced that they will celebrate the day of deliverance on 22nd September 1939. So on the day of day of deliverance, Muhammad Ali Jinnah came ahead and announced that Muslims should be should be united, and they must have a proper plan and objective to get rid from Congress and Hindus of subcontinent to have a to enjoy their lives as a as Muslims and have a freedom in subcontinent. So Muhammad Ali Jinnah and the leaders of Muslim leagues announced that the Muslims of India should be gathered in Minto Park, Lahore on 1940, and it would be the annual session of Muslim League, and the leaders of All India Muslim League will announce proper objectives for the Indians, Muslims Indians. So, a huge numbers of peoples gathered in Lahore at Minto Park on 22nd March to 24 March 1940, and these were sessions proved to be the historical sessions in the lives of Indians Muslims. Uh, the resolutions which was passed by Chaudhry Fazlul Haq, who was famous by his title Sher-e-Bengal. He uh, he gave his Lahore resolution, and in these resolutions, the announcement was that the sorry, this resolution was about that no constitutional plan would be workable or acceptable to the Muslims unless geographical contiguous units as demarcate into regions, and the areas in which the Muslims are numerically in majority, as in the northern, western, and eastern zones of India, should be grouped to constitute independent states, in which the unit shall be autonomous and so on. These was the first wars which were these was the first resolution which were presented by Maulvi Fazlul Haq as a chief minister of Bengal, but after some time they have some revisions in this resolution. Anyhow, these resolutions gave a straight path to the Muslims of India, and it was almost in the vision of Allama Iqbal address which he gave on in Allahabad in 1930. He was a great philosopher, and this resolution was almost on the same on line of thought of Allama Iqbal, who was called Hakimul Ummat as well. Um, Anyhow, by having this QARARDAD-E Pakistan, Muslim League gave a proper idea to the Indian Muslims that they should work and struggle to get a separate homeland, and it was also the endorsement of the two nation theory, which was in actively working after War of Independence, and as Sir Syed Ahmed Khan said in 1867 that Muslims and Hindus are almost two different nations, and they would have different platforms and cannot be gathered on a single platform for a long time. And as we discussed number of events such as Lucknow Pact and a division of Bengal, how Muslims and Indians, Muslim Indians and Hindus react on same incident, almost against of each other. Even Muhammad Ali Jinnah and Allama Iqbal and Muhammad Ali Johar and all others Muslims leaders want to have a united Hindustan, but with passage of time, especially after the rule of Congress ministries, it was clear that the Muslims should have their own separate homeland where they can enjoy their lives according to their religion, according to their culture and norms. Um, about Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who became a great leader and got the name of Qaid-e-Azam after this Qaraardad. Stanley Walpert, a great historian, also said that Jinnah is the former of ambassadors of Hindu-Muslim unity, transferred towards Pakistan's great leader Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and Sir Syed Ahmed Khan and others Muslim scholars, social scholars, religious scholars, all were on a same track about the destiny of the Muslims of India, and they were clearly they were totally clear about how they have to get work and to be get struggle to get a great Pakistan. Um, Anyhow, it was clear for Britishers too that now Indian Muslims are working for struggle, and as I told you earlier, there was an outbreak of Second World War in 1939, which would continue till 1945, and during this time period, Muslims were having a great movement, struggle, and slogans for their independent states. लेकर रहेंगे पाकिस्तान, बनकर रहेगा पाकिस्तान, and the offices and sub offices of Muslims were established all around the subcontinent during this period. Especially after the uh, war, British, the ruler of subcontinent, want to resolve this issue, and they called a conference which is called the Shimla Conference. Lord Wavell succeeded Lord Lithgow as a Viceroy of India in 1943. Before becoming the India, he was a commander-in-chief of the British forces. So he started to work for a great administration in subcontinent. Wavell hold discussions with British government in 1945 at London in order to find a solution for the deadlock situation in India. And after the formulation of the plan, it was made public on June 14 in a broadcast speech by Wavell, which was delivered from Delhi. And during this period, they announced that they would have some sittings with Muslim League and Congress representative, and they called a conference at Shimla on June 24. Muslim League was represented by Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Liaquat Ali Khan, Khwaja Nazmuddin, and several other leaders. The Congress was represented by Maulana Abu Kalam Azad, Gandhi, Khizr Shah Tewana, Dr. Khan Sahib, and some other leaders. Anyhow, so many others communities, minorities, scheduled caste agencies communities were also in the part of the Shimla conference. Um, there were a number of proposals which was given by Lord Wavell during this conference in 1945. And one thing which I was to add here, that before this conference, Gandhi and Jinnah talks with each other, and they were thinking thinking that they should go on a agreement. Gandhi was a spokesman of Congress, while Jinnah was from Muslim League, and Gandhi even in that Gandhi Jinnah talks didn't support two nation theory. However, he wants to control some issues related to foreign policy and defense, and wants a central government. However, Muhammad Ali Jinnah didn't accept any kind of hypocrisy and connivance of Congress, so these meetings were remained failed. So now on during the Shimla conference, Muhammad Ali Jinnah have clear stance from Muslims of India that they don't have any intervention in their political affairs from any community of India, and Muslims of India wants totally a separate states. There were few proposals which were given by Lord Wavell. Number one, the Viceroy Executive Committee would be immediately reconstituted, and the number of its members would be increased. Secondly, in the council there would be equal representation of high caste Hindus and Muslims. At third, all the members of the council except the Viceroy and Commander-in-Chief would be Indians, and an Indian would be appointed as the member for foreign affairs in the councils. However, British commissioner would be responsible for trade of matters. The defense of India would remain in British hands until power was ultimately transferred to Indians. The Viceroy would convey a meeting of Indian politicians, including the leader of Congress and the Muslim League, at which they would nominate members of the new council. If this plan were to be approved for the central government, then similar councils of local political leaders would be formed in all the provinces. By looking and having these points in our desktop, it can be easily understand that British government were not in favor of giving full freedom to Indian communities, and as well as even they were appointing foreign affairs member from India. But on the other hand, they were controlling trade matters, and as well as although they were a little bit in favor of self-ruling subcontinent, but it was not a proper handover to rule to the Indian Muslims. So it can be seen that these conference were not these proposals were not too much applicable. Jinnah took a firm stand over this, and he said Babel plan was a trap. Hindus and the government were united to push us towards this trap. Acceptance of the proposal of Lord Wavell was nothing but to sign the death warrant of the Muslims. Shimla Conference failed due to non-acceptance of the Muslim League as the only representative political party of the Indian Muslims. So it can be seen that how Jinnah took his firm stance over this agenda, and he knows that behind these all proposals in Indians rulers, Britishers and the Congress were on a same platform, and they want to uh, they want to um, shut down the movements of Muslims and as well as Muslim League, as well as it can be seen that as promise for from the British government that they will held elections after 10 years. So in 1945 and 46 general elections were held. It was a time to prove yourself. Although we lost our last elections, which were held in 1936-37, but after Pakistan's resolutions, Muslims have a proper objective, and Jinnah were struggling to have deep roots of all India Muslim Leagues all over the India, and want to convey the message and the agenda of Muslim Leagues in Indian Muslim, and he succeeded a lot. And we can see its results and its effects on these elections, which were held in 1945. Um, Although number of seats, not too much seats were won by Muslims of India, but they got a huge majority in subcontinent. Um, Congress won most of non-Muslim seats, and 91% of the Hindu votes were in control of 8 states. Muslim League was managed to win all seats reserved for the Muslims in the Central Legislative Assembly. It helps Muslims to have a great control, a deep control, effective control in central government. Muslim League captured approximately 95% of the Muslim seats in the provisional elections of 1946. So the British government decided to divide India into two separate states after all efforts of keeping Hindus and Muslims together went in vain. Lord Ismay, the chief of staff of Lord Mountbatten, was asked to frame the partition plan. The plan was formatted and sent in May 1945 after the approval of British government. But before this, there was Dread Action Days in 1946, and after this Mountbatten's announcement, they have a 3rd June plan. According to this plan, the British government finally decided to divide India, and these plans have following agenda. According to plan, India would be divided into two separate states. Dominion status would be given to successor governments. A boundary commission will be set up which will divide India into two halves, and means geographical division would be held by this boundary commission. And this boundary commission is very popular because it was headed by Sir Sirlick Redcliffe, who was the chief to divide India geographically among Muslims and Hindus. And on 4th, the Sindh Legislative Assembly would be authorized to opt out whether it wants to join Pakistan or not. According to 3rd June plan, different provinces have given the rights to join whatever, either India or either Pakistan. A referendum would be conducted in NWFP and Balochistan to know the public opinion on joining Pakistan, as well as a referendum would be also conducted in Saleh to take the decision whether it want to join East Bengal or to stay apart from Assam. On 15 July 1945, the Indian Independence Act was passed. The act stated that from 15 August, British India would be divided into two dominion states. The act also gave the state the power to pass any law. Government of India Act 1930 was supposed to be provisional constitute and to the states that devised their own. On Alhamdulillah, by the efforts of Muhammad Ali Jinnah and all Muslim leagues, leaders of Muslim leagues and Indian Muslims, on 14 August 1947, a new country came into being, Pakistan, while India declared their independence on 15 August 1945. Students, these were for today lecture. We know that our our main topic, the Pakistan movement, has been concluded here, and now you have to revise these are topics as your assignment, and you can ask different questions if you want to ask from the platform. After this, on our next lecture, we will discuss the initial problems of Pakistan. Try to read out all the related materials which you have in your books. What kind of political problems and economic problems as well as social issues we have to face after independence and emergence of Pakistan. Thank you so much.